Yo, what is good people? Ben from Lover of Tech, and we are back with another video. This time it's another camera comparison. Pixel 7 Pro versus the Pixel 6 Pro. And I know you lot have been asking for it. A year difference. Is it worth the upgrade? And can we see some major changes? And boy, let me tell you, without bearing the lead, you're gonna really see it. And we're gonna test it through daylight and low light for photos and videos. So, not wasting any time, let's get into this camera comparison.
Let's do a quick breakdown of the camera hardware and specs, starting with the Pixel 7 Pro. It does have an all-new wider 12 megapixel ultra wide, a 50 megapixel main sensor, and a new 5x optical zoom at 48 megapixels, and a 10.8 megapixel selfie. The Pixel 6 Pro is using a 12 megapixel ultra wide, a 50 megapixel main sensor, and a 4x 48 megapixel optical zoom with an 11.1 megapixel main selfie. Now, the best way to watch this camera comparison is definitely at the highest resolution possible in 4K and with headphones on to hear the sound for the microphone pickup. There will be chapters located throughout the videos, but I highly recommend you sit back, watch it all, and use the chapters to refer back at another time. With that out of the way, let's get into the main camera comparison.
So we are starting off with the front-facing camera in 4K UHD 60 frames per second on the Pixel 7 Pro versus 4K 30 frames per second on the Pixel 6 Pro. Again, seeing the image quality difference, stabilization, colors, and dynamic range. Quick run. Now we've matched both the frame rate at 4K 30 frames per second and resolution together for the Pixel 7 Pro and the Pixel 6 Pro, seeing how they compare when it comes to stabilization, especially dynamic range, image quality, detail. Let's do a quick run. So we're now at the rear cameras in 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recording mode on both the Pixel 7 Pro and the Pixel 6 Pro. And again, just seeing how the image quality, video quality is like, dynamic range, stability, see if there's any improvements. One thing that is great to see is that speech enhancer is now available on the Pixel 7 Pro when recording 4K 30 frames per second on a rear camera. This is something you couldn't do on the Pixel 6 Pro. Should give you better isolation when it comes to noise and also voice pickup. Let's do a quick run. Now, let's switch to the ultra wide. And you can see that the Pixel 7 Pro not only switches a lot smoother, but you do get a wider field of view at 0.5x compared to 0.7x on the Pixel 6 Pro. Quick run. Let's switch over to the 2x mode on both. And now we're going to switch to the 5x optical zoom. See a slight delay and change. And also the 4x optical zoom. Slight delay and change. Not as seamless there. And we're going to come back to the main sensor. Both phones do give you the option to pause and continue recording on the same clip, but still no option to flip to the selfie while continuously recording. But yep, that's 4K 30 frames a second. We've now switched over to 4K UHD 60 frames a second on both the Pixel 7 Pro and the Pixel 6 Pro. We're starting on the main camera, which is enabled on both. But you will see that the Pixel 6 Pro is limited to solely recording 4K 60 on the main 50 megapixel sensor. Can't do it on the ultra wide or the 4x zoom or even on the selfie. The Pixel 7 Pro, you absolutely can. In that case, let's do a quick run. And as you can see, smoothly switches to ultra wide, still recording on the same clip in 4K 60 frames a second, then to the 2x, then to the 5x, slight change, there we go. still so impressed with the fact that Google have been able to figure it out, while other phone manufacturers still haven't been able to do this seamless recording in 4K 60. Let's go to the ultra wide. So smooth, so much smoother at switching, and doing this in 4K 60 while you can pause and continue recording is so impressive. Quick run. We've now gone into the active video stabilization mode on both these cameras, limited to 1080p, works only on the ultra wide lens. Seeing if there's an improvement right here. Major run. So we are now in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode, starting with the main 50 megapixel sensor on both. And again, now that I'm in the frame as the subject, we're just going to see how the colors, detail, dynamic range is like, as well as obviously the natural stability. So what we are going to do is pretty much stop, and we're going to switch to the ultra wide to see if there is a change, not just in the field of view, but also the image quality, stabilization, and dynamic range, and the quality of the image on myself as the subject. And we're going to stop and come back to the main sensor. So now we're in the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode. We're starting off with the main camera sensor. Now what you will notice is, apart from obviously seeing if there's a change in the image quality, stabilization, colors, and the detail on myself, the Pixel 6 Pro is just limited to the main camera sensor. But you will notice that the Pixel 7 Pro can actually switch to the ultra wide while still recording on the same clip in 4K 60. One of the only few phones that can still do this, and it's a very seamless recording experience without stopping the recording. So you're probably seeing a different field of view compared to the main sensor. And then we're going to switch back to the main sensor on the Pixel 7 Pro and see how the image quality is like to finish things off. So we are now in 1080p, but we're in 1080p 24 frames per second on the Pixel 7 Pro and 1080p 30 on the Pixel 6 Pro. But the difference you can see is that the Pixel 7 Pro is shooting in the new cinematic blur, which gives you that background blur effect, which is not available on the Pixel 6 Pro at all. One thing you do have to remember is that cinematic blur is only limited to the main camera sensor on the Pixel 7 Pro. It only shoots in 24 frames per second. It doesn't have a 4K or a 30 frames per second option. So yeah, let's see how the image quality looks like when comparing the two. So this is the cinematic video mode in the 1080p 24 frames per second with a static subject with me in the frame. Now I do appreciate this option still being there, although it's limited to the main camera sensor. This could actually be pulled off well if you wanted to use it for A-roll or recording content and having that cinematic feel. Again, I do wish there was the option to change the blur intensity before you start recording, but this is a step in the right direction, and I hope we do get a software update to give us a bit more control. So we are now in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Pixel 7 Pro versus the Pixel 6 Pro, seeing how the low light performance is like. Let's switch to the ultra wide. Back to the main sensor. Let's try the 2x zoom mode. Zoom to the 5x on the 7 Pro, and then the 4x on the Pixel 6 Pro. And back to the main sensor. Now for the 4K UHD 30 frames per second low light selfie video. seeing how the performance is like.
Let's start things off with the daylight photos. Kicking things off with the landscape images, the Pixel 7 Pro has a much wider field of view and leans to have a slightly warmer color temperature compared to the Pixel 6 Pro. When moving over to the main wide sensor, things balance out to be the same. Both look to produce the same results in details, colors, and dynamic range. When looking at the 2x zoom mode, by a slight amount, the Pixel 7 Pro has a sharper and more detailed overall image. In the 5x and 4x zoom mode, both have excellent detail and clarity, with the Pixel 7 Pro having more reach. The next set of landscape shots further demonstrates what we've been seeing from before, with the Pixel 7 Pro having a slightly wider field of view on the ultra wide and the main sensor having near enough the same image output. The real showcase is the extended zoom range beyond 2x, which shows Google's Pro level zoom working alongside the Super Res zoom on the Pixel 7 Pro for more reach up to 30x and better processing for a clearer image. Now let's analyze the selfie photos. It's really hard to tell the difference between the two, but looking very closely at it, Google looked to have tuned real tone on the selfie camera on the Pixel 7 Pro to be overall more accurate. But of course, the Pixel 6 Pro is still doing a great job. You get the option of a wider field of view on the selfie at 0.7x for both. For portrait mode, we can see in terms of edge detection and blur, both are on par and produce the same colors as before. And of course, you can do a wider field of view on the portrait selfie as well. Last of the daylight photos with the rear cameras with me as the subject of focus. Although the ultra wide on the Pixel 7 Pro is wider and handles HDR well, I actually prefer the look of myself on the Pixel 6 Pro. The main sensor on the other hand is basically the same on both, with the only difference being the temperature of the grass being slightly warmer on the Pixel 7 Pro. The 2x mode looks more natural on the Pixel 7 Pro compared to the more processed look of the Pixel 6 Pro, with the portrait mode and the 1x mode, which in fact behaves more like a 1.33x crop. I do slightly prefer the look coming from the Pixel 6 Pro. And lastly, the 2x portrait mode looks better slightly on the Pixel 7 Pro, purely based on the intensity of the blur, but still looks way too overprocessed for my liking, just like on the previous Pixel 6 Pro. Macro mode sees its first introduction to a flagship Pixel device with the Pixel 7 Pro, allowing close-ups to capture fine details. When compared to the Pixel 6 Pro, which does not have macro mode, the 2x mode is the second best option for it. Let's shift things over to nighttime, starting with the landscape images. The ultra-wide struggles on both with a very noisy and soft-looking image. The main wide sensor, on the other hand, definitely favors the Pixel 7 Pro with a much cleaner image while keeping good detail and especially colors. The 2x mode favors the Pixel 7 Pro with better processing and an overall cleaner output for the final image. The extended zoom mode at 5x and 4x also favors the Pixel 7 Pro slightly, not just based on the fact that you do get extra reach, but overall for better processing. Let's move over to this very extreme low light situation without night mode. Both ultra wide are not usable or visible enough at all. The main sensor without any night mode is pretty much the same when it comes to the final output, but the Pixel 7 Pro looks ever so slightly cleaner, but still not usable. Night mode is the real difference maker and takes both the ultra wide to a much more usable visible final image, with the Pixel 7 Pro having a slightly warmer look. The wider sensor with night mode cleans up much better and sticks with the same colors as before. And of course, both do have an astrophotography mode for a long 4-minute capture for an even cleaner night mode image. With the low light selfies, I captured in the normal, then night mode, and then with the front screen flash, and did the same with the portrait mode as well. What's good is both do have the ability to use night mode and portrait mode together for the selfie. Now the Pixel 7 Pro overall across the board produced much better results even after multiple takes on the Pixel 6 Pro. Let's wrap this up with the last set of low light images with the rear cameras with me as the subject of focus, starting with the ultra wide. Although there is a wider field of view produced with the Pixel 7 Pro, the final output in the image quality is pretty much the same on both, meaning they're not very usable at all. Mind me looking obviously very tired as these night shots were taken in the very late hours, in the early hours, and the main sensor on the Pixel 7 Pro is a lot better compared to the Pixel 6 Pro when not using night mode. In the 2x mode, both do produce a very soft image, with only by a slight amount the Pixel 7 Pro having slightly more detail. As always, night mode is the difference maker, and both look to produce near enough the same results on the ultra wide with much better exposure. With the main sensor, night mode looks to bring up to near enough the same level on the Pixel 7 Pro with the Pixel 6 Pro, and clearly indicates why you should use night mode in general. And the same goes for the 2x zoom mode, which gratefully improves things for the Pixel 6 Pro to match close to what the 7 Pro produces. Final ones are low light portrait, and without night mode active, they are near enough the same in both the 1x and 2x zoom mode. Night mode cleans up the image very well with good exposure, especially in the 2x mode. Let's summarize the video performance, and looking first at the selfie video performance, the improvement to video selfie on the Pixel 7 Pro, in my personal opinion, is huge compared to the Pixel 6 Pro. Firstly, you finally have the ability to shoot in 4K 60 frames a second, which with the Pixel 6 Pro was limited to just 4K 30 and 1080p 60. But it's the other quality of life upgrades, like better overall colors, dynamic range, and better control with the stabilization, as you no longer see the exposure pulsing when running on the Pixel 7 Pro, which was very evident on the Pixel 6 Pro. Video on the rear camera is also greatly improved on the Pixel 7 Pro. You can finally shoot 4K 60 frames a second on all the lenses, and that is including the ultra wide and the 5x zoom, which was limited on the Pixel 6 Pro. But the best part is the fact that you can continue recording while switching between all three focal lengths at the back in 4K 60 specifically on the same clip without stopping recording. Although I prefer the exposure levels on the Pixel 6 Pro, in modes like 4K 30, it does struggle with HDR when you're looking at the sky, even on this mostly overcast day. Another main difference in video is the new cinematic blur on the Pixel 7 Pro, which is limited to just the main wide sensor and shoots only in 1080p 24 frames a second. It does lack the ability to change the blur intensity before recording, but it's still nice to have in a pinch. For low light video, in terms of using the wide and the ultra wide, they near enough produce the same results in regards to the Pixel 7 Pro and Pixel 6 Pro. I still highly recommend not to use the ultra wide in low light, as you do lose a lot of light and a lot of detail. Audio pickup is great on both, and with speech enhancer available in more shooting modes on the Pixel 7 Pro, voice pickup and isolation is much better all around. That is it with this ultimate camera comparison between the Pixel 7 Pro and the previous Pixel 6 Pro. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. That's it for me, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. I hope you're all safe during this time. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.